Welcome. You know, have you ever tried to build something really complex, only to get to the end and find that even though you checked all the boxes, it just isn't quite right? Well, today, we're going to explore a different way of working. It's a method that trades rigid plans for a steady, flowing rhythm, a way to create truly remarkable things together.
Let's start with a phrase that I'm sure has haunted more than a few projects. Now, this isn't about someone failing to follow instructions or failing to execute. No, this is the sound of a fundamental truth. A lot of the time, people don't really know what they want until they can see it and touch it. It points to this gap between the person with the idea and the person who has to build it.
And that communication gap is really at the heart of what we can call the blueprint problem. It's this flawed idea that we can sit down at the very beginning of a project and draw up a perfect, detailed plan, a blueprint that, let's be honest, is almost guaranteed to be wrong before the ink is even dry.
So why does this happen? Well, it's because the people who know what they want and the people who know how to build it are often speaking two completely different languages. You've got the business side, right? They're thinking about features and when can we have it. Then you have the technical side, talking about code, tools, and frameworks. And if one side just talks past the other, the whole project can start to lose its way.
And on top of all that, there's a simple fact: the world just doesn't stand still. While we're busy building, the market is shifting. New ideas are popping up, and what our users needed yesterday might not be what they need tomorrow. And that beautiful blueprint we made, it starts to crack under the pressure of reality.
And as a project gets bigger, it also gets more complex. I mean, every new feature you add has to connect with all the old ones, creating this intricate web where everything depends on everything else. So trying to accurately predict how long anything will truly take, well, it becomes nearly impossible.
So the answer isn't to try and make a better, more detailed blueprint. We actually need a totally different approach. And this requires a really fundamental shift in our mindset. We have to move away from the illusion that we can predict the future and instead get really good at adapting to the present.
And this new way of thinking is called Agile. You can think of it as a philosophy. It chooses to constantly adapt instead of sticking to a rigid upfront plan. It's all about making decisions with the information you have right now and creating lots of opportunities to learn and change course along the way.
But, a philosophy is one thing. How do you actually do it? To bring this agile thinking into the real world, we need a framework. And one of the most effective, most popular frameworks for putting this philosophy into practice is called Scrum. Now, to really understand Scrum, I think it helps to stop thinking about it as some rigid corporate process. Instead, I want you to imagine a well-run professional kitchen that's getting ready for a busy dinner service. It has structure, it has roles, it has a rhythm, but it also allows the artisans, the chefs, to practice their craft.
For this kitchen to really work, you need 3 essential roles. First, you've got the product owner. They're like the restaurant owner, deciding what goes on the menu. Then you have the team. These are the skilled chefs who actually cook the food. And finally, you have the Scrum Master. They're like the Expediter, the person who makes sure the whole kitchen is running like a well-oiled machine.
And this next point is absolutely crucial to understand. The Scrum Master is not a manager. They don't hand out tasks or tell the chefs how to cook. They are what we call a servant leader. Their entire focus is on serving the team by removing obstacles. Is the oven broken? Is an ingredient missing? They fix it so the artisans can focus on doing their best work. Okay, so this kitchen crew doesn't just work randomly. They operate with a very steady, repeatable cycle. This rhythm is what turns that owner's vision into a delicious reality, one dish at a time.
The core rhythm of Scrum is a cycle called a sprint, and it usually lasts between 1 and 4 weeks. It always starts with sprint planning, where the team decides on the menu for that cycle. Then comes the sprint itself, that focused period of work. At the end, in the sprint review, the finished dishes are presented for tasting and feedback. And finally, the team comes together for a sprint retrospective to reflect on how they can improve before the whole cycle starts right over again.
This entire process, this whole flow from the owner's vision in the cookbook to the final dish being served, it all relies on one key thing: clear, simple, and well-defined recipes. These recipes are the true building blocks of everything the kitchen creates. Which, of course, brings us to the most important question of all. If we want to avoid hearing that dreaded phrase, "You built what I asked for, but not what I want," we absolutely need a good recipe. So, what exactly makes a good one? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore in our next explainer.